We're having a conversation.
I mean, to be
niggas will go ahead and go off on, this guy has.
Listen, I'm trying to cite some things from my memory. The fact of the matter is,
I guess everybody else is hypnotized.
there's a lot of people in this room, and the fact is that there is a lot of emotional stability in this room. So let's just give each other a pat on the back. That's a fact. There's a lot of fucking speakers up in here. So
what you trying to figure out?
the fact of the matter is, if you love America, you will vote for Trump, and you will do everything you can possibly do for Trump if you really love America. And if you don't love America, you will vote for that corrupt criminal Irishman known as Joe Biden and his ratchet-ass little fucking hoe, Kamala Harris, and that's a fact.
That's how you get read easy, right? Because you say hypnosis, talking for this and hypnosis, you can get read easily too, trying to do this shit. And I read right through it. Like, I knew it was going to be some bullshit behind what you was getting at. Either your main goal is vote for this person to be like this, or if you don't and vote for this person, you be like that. That's your main end goal, bro. Like, just get to that if you're going to do that. Don't start bringing in, black people. Man,
it's not black people. I'm bringing up communication theory. This is academic. You're in an academic setting. I hate to tell you, whatever you think. I mean, we are political creatures, but this is still communication theory.
I wanted to comment on the.
I'd like to go after Q after whatever happens with Q.
I wanted to comment on the whole mindset that you mentioned. That was actually interesting. I don't know if that's going too far off topic. I don't know if you guys even want to get back to the video, so let me know because I'll be taking a nap soon. But what did you say? The more you think about something, like even the thought will bring you further and further away from the truth. That's interesting. There's a quote that I like. It's about philosophy. Like the more questions that you ask, you never get answers. You just get more questions. But as much as I enjoy, the thought process of questioning things and digging deeper and diving deeper, I do wonder if sometimes we spin ourselves into our own conundrum of a sort when it comes to thought. But hey, why wouldn't we have the ability to think if we weren't supposed to exercise it? But I thought that was interesting that you brought that up. That particular line of thinking.
Well, it is a question of spells, or how do you want to personally hypnotize yourself? Because you come here to voluntarily give people your ears, so you give them the grace to speak. The whole thing has to do with what are you filling yourself with. Look at my PTR. I painted this yesterday, or drew it. It's a cup. You are a cup. What you listen to is who you are. It's not just what you say, but what you listen to is who you are in many ways.
Trying to hypnotize.
That's fact. I mean, that's actually just a fact. So, I'm not understanding what's so maybe the word hypnosis might have been, a lot or crazy for people, but it's a proper way of describing what happens in social settings. But specifically, when people gather to discuss things like these, I don't know, it's just a lot. But hypnosis, speeches to hypnosis. Okay.
The word connected to hypnosis is gnosis. Gnosis is the word.
Hold on 1 second, then. I got you. No, facts.
Facts.
Hold on. Let me not lose my thought. Lefty. Fuck. Zen, don't do that shit again either. Back to my point, though. At the end of the day, it's all for a reason, right? And the reason is to communicate something. So if you're paying attention, you are literally being hypnotized by whatever it is you're paying attention to. I don't see why this is such a big,
It's called the movie theater effect. When you go into a cinema at the AMC, it's the delta brainwave state. It puts you into a trance. That's what hypnosis is. And if you allow me to continue speaking, by definition, I will continue to put you in a trance. Not because what I'm saying is groundbreaking or super exciting, but just by listening to whatever the fuck it is I'm saying, that by active definition is hypnosis. And that's what happens when you can induce what's called gnosis, which in India they call this samadhi. This is the trance state, and this is a brainwave state. You can induce it. If you've never studied this or fucked around with cannabis and alcohol and did meditation and listened to music and shit, you can put yourself in a trance state. But my point is, you still are what you listen to. And you want to fill yourself up with good words, positivity, empowering concepts, empowering words. If you listen to people just bitch and complain all the time on this app and do all their negative talk therapy into this app is hell for you. If you come here and you listen to an audiobook about peace and harmony and tranquility and things of philosophy and God, it's the best work you can do. That's why I say this is the modern college classroom. It should be academic. Instead,
excuse me, can you leave your plane?
yeah.
I disagree on that.
I mean, my plane is landed.
All right, so this is good. Let me politic real quick.
Wait.
Yeah, can I finish? Hold on.
No,
What
you
the
can't.
fuck, bro?
No, you can't.
I didn't.
Wait, sorry guys. Technically, after me, Brie was supposed to go, so I don't know if she wants to still go.
I said, now y'all put a utilize mute button, but this man was able to talk this whole time. No mute, no nothing.
No, but she was supposed to go after me. But I guess
Yeah,
it's
I
fun.
appreciate that. Yeah, I did want to bring up the movie theater reference because I have spoken on that briefly before, so I definitely agree with what he's saying. And I tried to look up Xing Xing Ming, but I can't find it. So can you please either drop a link or further clarify what that is so I can actually get that document you were referring to? Thank you.
So again, my point is this, right? I've noticed that it is insane that the individual came in the room, said, this is what I'm going to do, and it was allowed, and then he tells you, continue to speak, I'm going to keep you under hypnosis. Then when other people interact with him, it's being shot down. So it just confuses me do we have any understanding of what just truly happened? He just literally proves the point of how goofy we are on Clown House, as he calls it. And then he calls us as black people. Y'all, this shit is insane. It's insane.
Black. So what's the issue?
Yeah. Look, don't argue with me. I'm just speaking to something.
No, but I'm saying, it's an identity you love, right? And stand up for. What's the problem? If someone acknowledges that
First of all, I don't have a color on this app.
To respond to me? I mean, if he's not going to respond, that's fine, but can you get a chance to respond to me?
Because he didn't drop no real information. All he did was do a whole bunch of word salad and control the room. And then the sad part is, when y'all have regular people that be here all the time who do the same shit that he do, y'all would silence that shit.
Then don't be.
But I guess he just sounds good. I guess he sounds good. So that's why it was allowed. Why are you talking when I'm talking? You didn't do that when he was talking, so why do you want to do it when I'm talking? Yeah, this is weird, bro. Because it was just done. It was an obvious point. Why are you worried about what another man is?
Okay, I just want to get back to the clip so we can close this thing out. Here in the waiting room, there's a lot of their perspectives and opinion, whether you agree or disagree. Strongly disagree. Believe in pushback.
Because he sound good.
Loud voice, but he shared his perspective. He added his 2 cents. That's cool. Here we go.
It sounded like my dad was there with a gun. But they did the same thing, right? On January 6th, Donald Trump tried taking over the beast, the presidential vehicle. He was going to drive downtown and they have people before Congress be like, this happened. And then they won't call the people who were in the car, right? They don't ask them what actually happened. And so they have this hearsay from these people. And then, what was it, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, they finally had, asked the people in the car. No, that never happened. That's ridiculous. I was like, hey, man, he hijacked the beast and took out a couple of young, fit Secret Service guys. I may look like a more than, that may not be a negative, but it's clearly bullshit and it didn't matter. So that's the problem, man. There's just so much out there that's just absolute nonsense. But I think now we're sort of getting to this point where people are finally, they're getting it, right? They see enough of it. They can't lie to you enough when you see it and feel it every day. Yeah. You sort of see the chaos. You see Ukraine wars. You see Russia invading their neighbors, obviously. You see Iran and Israel and Palestine and all the craziness going around the world. You're like, I don't know, man. It felt like 3.5 years ago, we were signing peace deals in the Middle East. That was the holy grail, right, of politics. You could get a peace deal done in the Middle East. That clearly done? Well, we did 5 of them. Like, you just can't keep taking the same failed approach that these bureaucrats in government. That's the problem. Like, the guys in government, like, they may not be the best at anything, but they're really good at being bureaucrats. Pushing paper, making sure they snake someone who may be good or maybe a threat to their power or whatever it may be. And, you know, it's a rough way to lead a country because you're not leading with your best.
Right. So the raid, I think a lot of people also point out, though, like, hey, the raid on Mar-a-Lago was very different than the raid at Diddy's house. Did you see that raid?
Well, I did. I actually thought the raid at Diddy's house was pretty ridiculous. I understand the raid, but when they're holding like the kids at gunpoint and stuff like that, I thought that was bullshit. Like that was fucked up. But I mean, but it was kind of similar, like I said, in the sense that like the Mar-a-Lago raid, like they were literally going back and forth with the lawyers for weeks. It's like, okay, come in, do what you need to do. Like, but they show up with the hostage rescue team, like guys that carry machine guns to serve a warrant and do a search on a president's home, like. He's not going like full Scarface and like say hello to my little friend, like, you know. I mean, this isn't happening, but like, so that was done, and probably the same with Diddy. Like, it's a show of force. You know, it's designed like, oh, this is a threat. It's not, you know, it's totally unnecessary.
What do you think about that? You know, he's someone who's, you know, operated in that entertainment sphere, and that's kind of similar. And we do know, like, previously, I think it was maybe the 2008 election, like he spearheaded the Vote or Die movement, and you know, he's kind of been politics adjacent, but he's been big, and it's kind of like, I know him and your father must have had relationships.
Yeah,
or whatever.
they did for a long time, and then he went full leftist, maybe because of some of the stuff he's been doing, because that whole thing's crazy. But it was interesting, like, and now it sort of all comes back together. Just, like I said, I sort of grew up in that world. I grew up in New York. You know, before politics, like, I used to get invited to the cool person parties. I was there, right? Like, not those parties. So, not me directly, but it's my ex-wife actually she was a model in New York, and like she was really good friends with Kim Porter, who was Diddy's wife, the one who died at 47 from pneumonia. And I was like, that's when that happened, she called me, and this was a couple of years ago now, maybe not even, a couple of years ago, and she called me like, something's up with that. I go, what do you mean? She's like, oh, dude, Kim used to tell me like it was a bad, like, there's a lot of weird shit that I didn't even know. But they were like, you know, they do photo shoots together or whatever. They were sort of friendly. Like, they'd hang out. Like, we'd see them out downtown. Like, I'd hang out with her. Not so much with Dad. I think it was already sort of over there. But, like, she was really afraid of him. And like, this goes back years. And so, like, and she was having these conversations with my ex. I was like, I don't know what, like.
A lot of people believe that whatever happened there happened with the woman afterwards, which was Cassie. And supposedly.
No, like I said, like, you sort of don't think about these things until now. You go back and you're like, holy, like, I distinctly remember when Vanessa was like, calls me, I was like, hey man, Kim Porter died. I go, what? Like, we saw her like a couple of weeks, whatever it was, you know, and she goes, yeah man, she was sort of always in fear of something happening. And I was like, maybe it's natural, but like, not a lot of people die at 47 of pneumonia. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, especially people, obviously,
there's a shit ton of rumors.
And again, and I'm actually not trying to fuel any kind of rumor, but I definitely, like, that's a conversation I had. Like, you know, someone who knew her well, you know, was like friend, like, they text, like, was like, something. She was like, something, she was like, something. She did not believe that was just natural.
That's the thing about that, because, and I guess that's also, it kind of leads into, you know, some people are saying, hey, he's a Jeff Epstein of hip hop, and then also when it comes to that, people are like, well, did no one know until it got too late?
That's the problem. I think so many people, like, they always try to do this thing, you know, again, they did it with me, with Jeffrey Epstein. It's nonsense, right? They tried doing it with my father, because, like, he lived in Palm Beach, and he came to Mar-a-Lago in the early 90s. Like he was literally thrown out of Mar-a-Lago in the early 90s. He was like a member, and my dad's like, no more, you're out. Because, like, there was these rumors, and he was like, I just don't want to be a part of that.
Well, I thought he was saying he caught him, like, in the bathroom.
Well, no, but he was trying to pick up, like, girls that worked in the spa, and he was like, no, more of this shit. Like, you're out. So,
leave my workers alone, man. Get out of here, man.
Yeah, so there was always something about him that we never, like, so he threw him out in the early 90s, but that's why it's so odd that even after he went to jail for, like, being a pedophile, like, went to jail for it, not, like, innuendo or, like, rumor, like, the guy went to jail, he comes out and he's having dinner with, you know, big media personalities and Bill Gates, and it's like, No, but here's the one. Notice how it's always the one picture with him and Trump. There's one picture of them together, and they're like, it's like from 1992, and they're like, they were great friends. I'm like, how come you don't tell the rest of the story? How come you don't talk about the other guys that were friends with him in 2017 after all of this,
right? That I watched like the documentary. That was even spooky where they're like, yo, the first time he goes to the court and when he gets caught with something, and they're like, that court proceeding is like wiped from the record. You can't even find it.
It's just gone. You know what I mean? And so,
is that rich privilege or is that like, hey, listen?
No, that's more. That's like he's got shit on people privilege, and like as long as they're working that, you know, like it feels to me like there's no way he wasn't working for someone. Whether that's there's been people saying, oh, he was working for Mossad in Israel, and he was basically there setting up powerful people, right? Setting up powerful people, get them in a compromising position, whether it's Prince Andrew or one of these people, like get them, hey, we got a picture of you with an underage girl. Now you work for me. It feels more like that than anything. And then, he got too far, so he was no longer useful or whatever it may be. And that's when they take him out. But like,
Candace Owens said she believes that the rape on Diddy's house was more than likely because apparently I didn't even know that they said there were princes even partying with Diddy. Like a Diddy party is like the cultural apex of.
I believe that.
Yeah. So they believe that he probably had stuff on people, and what's going on now is they believe that the raid, or she believed that the raid, was to maybe go get that information to absolve those people,
or prevent that information from getting out.
Do you think that's even possible?
By the way, at this point, honestly, like I did not used to be as cynical as I am now.
Yeah.
Like
really?
Now, like anything is possible. Like you have this notion of like what you believe America to be. Like it's a fucking lie. Okay, like it's like I'd love to get it to what I believed it to be as like a patriot, but like that does not currently exist. And so if he was running some sort of, and they say there were video cameras in every room, and so if you were at these parties, and who knows what you're some guys oh now we got to be with it. I could totally see that happen. Like it actually feels to me like that's more plausible,
really,
than anything. Like
I usually look at people like you're nuts. Like no, like this. I mean,
I was that way too before they started.
Like at the heights of the heights, is impossible for that to happen without a bunch of leaks and for that amount of collusion to happen.
Yeah. Except like I thought that too until they tried doing it to me. Like when they first started Russia, I was like, dude, there must be something. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm the target? I'm like, wait a minute, like what? Okay, well, maybe, hey, who knows? I got a big follow. Like maybe some guy took a selfie with me. They always get you with that. Like, you took this picture with this guy, and he's a known terrible. I'm like, I don't know, dude. I took 7,000 pictures that day. Like some guy shows up with a camera. Like it's not my buddy. It doesn't mean I'm his friend. I don't know him from Adam, right? Like, but even when Russia started coming out, I'm like, dude, well, the FBI said that there's got to be something. Like I believed in these institutions. I believe that there was some honor there and that they were doing the right thing. Now I believe there's no correlation whatsoever between that. It's total bullshit.
Oh man,
I don't trust any of it at this point.
Wow.
It needs to be torn down.
I do gotta ask you some cultural questions when we get out of here. How long have we been going for, Chad?
Like
Sweet. Listen, huge debate going on in hip hop. I know you might not be too abreast or listen to every song, but I know you're a cultural guy. I can tell. Like,
I mean, this is gonna be out of my world. I'll be pretty naive.
Well, this is basically like this is like USA versus I don't know who are we going against. I mean, we're not really at war with like Russia, right? But it's kind of like tense always, right?
Hey, there's a lot of guys that want to be,
right? So we have Drake and Kendrick Lamar. They're involved in like a ridiculous feud. They're the two biggest guys pretty much in the whole genre. Interestingly enough, as you picked me up yesterday, which I kid y'all not, like literally, I thought I was gonna have some dudes with like black glasses on, suits, like 15-car entourage, open. You literally just pulled up, hopped out, like other people who are sitting there waiting for their Uber. They're like in shock, like they're in shock, and like you're just like, yo, hop in. I start talking about what I've been kind of involved in, and your wife is like, hey, listen, Kendrick Lamar, that guy sampled me. Like he actually had my face on the screen at Coachella. Yeah. And then we connect to the car, we play the song, and of course she sampled. Yeah.
Well, I know we were talking about that fight, and I did a little bit, like, just looking into it. When we started hitting on it last night, I'm like, I think we're losing the plot when everyone's like, well, you're broke because you only live in a $30 million house, and I live in a $400 million house. I'm like, I don't know, man. These are high-class problems. Like, I'm a reasonably spoiled individual, and I'm like, this does not seem like the fight.
That was Rick Ross and Drake. Drake is like, hey, you wish you could have a $88 million house, and Rick Ross has a $35 million house. And he's like,
I don't know.
You live on a Slither cheesecake.
Yeah, like, this is an interesting fight. This is not like the old school days in hip hop, but it's sort of funny. I'm like, I don't know, guys. Like, I'm curious. Like, is there a point where like actually people get pissed off? Because it's like, that aren't part of the fight. Do the fans ever say like, okay, enough? Like, this is bullshit. Like, you would even everyone. There may be good things to have a beef about, but that may not be it.
People are a little pissed off now because this feels like this is like a side mission, right? So these guys supposed to battle musically, and now they're arguing about whose jet is bigger, whose jet is real, who owns the jet, whose jet is old, and who house is bigger, which is how I like ridiculous.
Well, Rick Ross did something pretty cool. It was a couple months ago. He took a picture of his jet, I think next to my father's.
Really?
Yeah. Like I think it was on his Instagram feed somewhere. Like this is a couple months ago. But it was pretty funny. It was an interesting commentary, and that's sort of where. I'd actually be curious. I'll go back and read the feed later on, sort of what people think about that. But I remember in 2017, Snoop did a video. It was like a sort of simulated drive-by shooting of Trump.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks ago, it was like, hey man, I got nothing but love for Trump, and I'm wondering, is that you feel those things?
This is it right here, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. This plane's a little bit bigger, but Rick Ross says that's a pretty bad
commercial plane.
757. It's
Jesus Christ.
It's really nice inside now. Yeah. Next time you're down, I'll take you in there.
You got to send a message to Rick Ross now. Like, everyone's having Rich Ross right now. You got to tell him, like, hey, listen, you got the moped or the private.
I don't know. Rick Ross's plane is much bigger than mine. Not so much bigger than my dad's, but bigger than mine, because I don't have one. I play commercial guys.
Well, why don't you have a jet? You're doing pretty good.
I do well. Listen, it's just not who I am. You know what I mean? I'm not that. I live in great house and stuff like that.
It's not like a
I drive a pickup truck. I just, it's like
the finer things. I
do, but it's not. I would never spend my money on that stuff. Now, maybe there's a number that you get to that you're like that. I would rather give the money to charity than spend $20,000 to get somewhere where I can be there on a $300 ticket on JetBlue. Like, it doesn't make any sense for me. Like, it's just not the way I'm programmed. Like, I skipped the Trump bling gene.
Your father definitely had.
Yeah, that's different. Yeah, he's got the bling gene.
Because even as we're at the $18 million crib yesterday, or what they call $18 million.
What do you think about that? You should go see Drake's house or Kendrick's place, and then come back and compare it to Mar-a-Lago. Given where and see what you think.
Well, I mean, I know real estate, so you guys showed me literally lots, right? Like, hey, the house is about 1/20th the size. That's $45 million. We're talking about Palm Beach, so it's like we're not talking about
Yeah, because it's hard for people to understand. Like, you think of an $18 million home, and it might as well be. Disney World, it doesn't, and yet in Palm Beach, like an $18 million home, it's like it's legitimately like a shitty teardown on a quarter acre. Like it's crazy.
That's hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
But it doesn't matter in the eyes of a judge in New York State. He just says, no, it's 18. Well, here's 5 appraisals from people who are the biggest real estate people in Palm Beach. Doesn't matter.
That's odd.
But that's the legal system we're dealing with right now. That's how much bullshit it is. But no one hears that, right? Like, you watch CNN, they won't tell you that part of the story. They won't.
I was very shocked just driving through there, and it was like, hey, you could pull up your Zillow app, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that place right there, that's just way smaller. Oh, that's $40 million. Oh
yeah, and
that's
not even but not even on the market.
This is pristine, land. Like, this is Palm Beach. Like, you're literally on it's.
You're on the ocean. You're on the. It's not like an inner lot.
Exactly.
I mean,
and then we get to the biggest place of them all. That's almost like all of them combined, and they're like, it's actually 1/3 the price of everything else.
Yeah. When that happened, I called my dad. I was like, hey, if Mar-a-Lago's worth 18, I'll take 10.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out. I'll come up with the money. I want 10 of them because I'll flip them and I'll be a billionaire tomorrow.
Why don't you get politics?
I sort of am, I guess. I'm out there.
With an official title,
maybe one day. I don't know that I think you gotta want the day job. I think right now I'm actually what I like is sort of the stuff that honestly, the people on our side are not that good at, like, the fighting aspect of it.
Yeah.
Just being like, not just because someone calls you a mean name doesn't mean you just give up and fold on your principles. It's like, no, why don't we talk about it? Like, so, I like that. I'm out there, fighting constantly. It's why I do the podcast to try to, highlight the reality that you're not going to see on regular TV. Like, whether it's big tech or mainstream media, I mean, they're so corrupted. They're so clearly biased to the other side. And, someone's got to combat that. So, do that now. Right now, worry about helping my father. But, I never,
I think at some point you will, and just from, I think someone's inevitable. I think you kind of have to, but I think you'll grow into it. Like, just even listening to you yesterday, kind of even like describing the process of how like Secret Service like makes your life just so convoluted. It's like that just seems like a lot to really be in public office, right?
Yeah, I mean, certainly at that level, right? I mean, if you're a regular, congressman, senator, you're not getting those things. I had it because I was the son of the president of the United States, and so I don't have it now. And I think I was also the number 2 most threatened person
Secret Service
in government.
It has to be cool though. Like,
by the way, I think it was the number 1 most requested detail because I do cool shit. I treat my guys good. I got stories about some, prior political people that were, let's just say, not awesome to these guys. But I think my thing, if I ever had an issue with it, was like, hey, I want to go do something random on a Friday afternoon, but I didn't give them notice, and there's a shift change, and I'm like, I'm just not going to inconvenience a whole team of guys, even if it's their job to accommodate or whatever it is. It's not my style. So, it can be rough.
Yeah, I mean, rather than be in Washington, D.C., I don't want to be here. I'm not going to lie.
This doesn't suck. It's like, I figured out how to work from here, and it could certainly be worse,
Yeah, definitely would not want to be there. Hold on, I'm trying to take some questions here from the chat. By the way, a lot of people are asking. There's a guy who's a beloved, he's just a misunderstood guy, actually. His name is NBA Youngboy.
Okay.
He's been on federal house arrest. He lives in Utah. He was on federal house arrest for like 2.5 years, which to me just sounds wrong. Like
for a while.
For gun possession. He basically shot a music video. They believe that they got a call that there were guys on the block that were shooting the video and they saw weapons. They pulled up. The police showed up. No one was there. They grabbed one guy who happened to be his cameraman, and because he's a big name, they seen him on camera holding what they believe is a weapon, and they're like, well, we're going to give you charges for that. So he has federal charges for that.
But it could have been a prop. They don't even know.
It could have been a prop. And they've been arguing, hey, this is a prop. That's their actual argument in court. He's been sitting on federal house arrest for 2.5 years, and, he got picked up today. Something happened at his house, I guess, that they raided it and they picked him up. And now everyone's saying, you got to ask Donald Trump Jr., if Trump gets back in office and this guy's locked up, we got to throw him to the top of the party.
Listen, hey, I'm a big Second Amendment guy. I'm a Second Amendment. I know you are too. I also know that the other president's son lied on his gun form, which is a federal offense.
Yes.
There's cocaine on the gun case, so you can't have drugs and be an active user while also on that.
True.
And, they're kind of sort of going after him with this thing, but it's not like, if there's no proof and it's a prop, that seems like total bullshit. So, and again, I know that I wouldn't get any benefit of a doubt when it comes to this government and this DOJ either. So, like, I take that one pretty seriously because there's someone who has a lot of guns and loves shooting and does all that stuff. I think when they abuse that and they try to push, down the Second Amendment, I think I have a real problem with that. I have to get into the details because I'm sure there's another side of a story. They
raided his, I'll be fair. They raided his house saying that he was doing drugs while on house arrest. His argument is that, hey, listen, you've had me in the house for 2.5 years. Mentally, it's affected me. I have these prescribed. They're saying, well, you didn't get these drugs legally because identity fraud. It's a lot of stuff. Anyway,
it feels like there's more important things we should be worrying about, perhaps. But that's another one. I mean, not even in this, but our federal law enforcement should be concerned about other things than that. Like, it doesn't seem like good use of their time.
What about federally repealing, the law against marijuana?
Yeah. Okay. So this is one that can definitely get you in trouble on certain sides, but I know just growing up, a lot of people, alcoholism, issues like that. I think that if everyone everyone who had a problem drinking smoked weed instead, the world would be a much better place. So, I don't love opening the door for all of these things because I don't know that, heroin should be legal, even if I'm a little bit libertarian. Some of these things, I do see.
Oregon,
I see
allowed some amounts of cocaine, and I don't know how that turned out.
I know they
criminalized. They don't allow it.
They decriminalized heroin, I think, in Washington State, and they're like, holy crap, we have a serious problem now. So there's some limits to it, but I guess that alcohol can do as much. I don't know anyone that's ever beat up their wife on weed, right? Maybe you get pulled over for going 7 miles an hour, not 700 miles per hour. So it's they're so lax on alcohol that I don't think of weed as any worse than that in any way, shape, or form. So I'm generally pretty libertarian on that issue.
When it comes to issues like that, and even a little bit more serious, for example, say abortion and things like that, do you almost have to subscribe to the party line mantra or thought about it, or do you?
No, because what I just said would get me in trouble theoretically with Republicans. Right?
Really? Okay.
Even that, I think it's a pretty level-headed approach. It understands how hey, when I think about legalizing, well, you can regulate some of it, you can tax some of it, you can make sure that fentanyl doesn't end up in it. I mean, the amount of people that I know, my nephew was at college and he thought he was taking a Xanax and it was laced with fentanyl, and kid drops dead, just a future gone, a family destroyed. I'm like, I don't know, man, maybe there's a way to actually regulate these things and do that right so that you don't end up with these problems. Because guess what? There's going to be a black market for it. There's going to be, an underground, way that people get it. They're not going to stop doing it because we say it's bad. I don't think the war on drugs was a success. I think you just put a lot of people in jail probably for bullshit So, I think we have to be realistic about those things. So even my opinion on this, while I think it's pretty rational and realistic, would get me in trouble on my side. It probably will. But that doesn't matter because it doesn't mean it's not right. So I'm not one of these guys that's just, you must follow 100% of one side, and all of this. It's, it becomes hard in our systems where, especially on the conservative side, where, you got to win a primary. And if you're not all the way over here, you can't do it. Even if it's it's not where the country is. I'm not necessarily willing to lose everything because we want to hold tight on one issue, regardless of what that issue is. If the rest of the country isn't there, and that's sort of part of being in a republic and a democracy, right? So, I'm not that way, but it is a problem in politics because the people you choose to represent, you sort of have to get through that system where you have to kind of be that way, and then by definition, you're changing your opinion just to be able to win a general election, right? That's sort of sucks.
Yeah. Speaking of marijuana and all that, didn't El Chapo want to get you killed, man?
I've heard that there was credible threats on me from Iran. Back after they took out Soleimani. That was probably our whole family, right? That was,
hey.
And El Chapo apparently had a bounty on.
Really?
That's what I was told.
You at that point just stay away from that.
Well, I used to go to I'm a big outdoors guy, right? So I used to go down Baja Peninsula, Cabo, all the way up to Sonora. I've been to Sonora 30 times. That's peak, cartel areas. I used to go there, go hunting in the desert, just awesome place. I had friends from there, just one of the coolest places in the world to go hang out. They're like, hey, you want to come down? I'm like, I told everybody, they're like, yeah, dude, that's a great way to get yourself killed. You're just a trophy for that mantle. Don't even think about it. So it's you got to adjust your life a little bit, unfortunately.
Do you ever feel fear moving around now? I know you said in most places like the airport, you get shown a lot of love, but you kind of move light, man. You don't seem to me
usually, I'm a Second Amendment guy, so I got that. I practice, I train, I do, but honestly, man, you just gotta live life too. Yeah. There's that component of you can do everything, you can, and you can slip in your bathtub tomorrow. It's I don't know. I like to just live life and I'll take my chances, I guess. That's sort of the way I look at a lot of these things.
All right, people. I want to give you guys a chance to ask some questions. Hop in the comment section. By the way, while I wait for you guys to ask some questions, I do have to, and my man Chris came over here to make sure I got this in. Listen, man, I want to salute to the Wellness Company for allowing this to happen. Listen, be prepared with the Wellness Company for various illnesses with a emergency contagion kit that is really simple and cost effective. Okay, you don't have to have the cost of the hospital or the chaos. just go to twc.health/Mar-a-Lago to get 10% off. Okay, it should be on the screen as well, so you guys can go there. Go get an emergency kit, man. You know, maybe save you in the future. Okay. All right. Let me see what they're saying on here on Rumble.
I'll ask about Barron Trump and the graduation I'm seeing.
Oh wow, that was the thing, right?
So think about that. Like the judge, he did the same thing. Like different judge, different case. Was like, you know, my dad's wife, his wife's mother passed away, and they were like, well, you got to be in court. We're not letting you go to a funeral. You know, this judge, you got to be there every day for 4 months. You can't go to your son's high school graduation. I'm like, it just feels like they're trying to just, you know, it's a psyop, right? They're just trying to destroy you. So, yeah, I just hope that, you know, again, I think it's so ridiculous that someone, he's got to be there for jury selection. He can't go to a high school graduation. I'm like, I don't know. I think you can say you can miss something like that. That's me. But again, I think it's so petty. At this point, it's so ridiculous that real people who may not know all the details that I, you know, try to articulate about how shady all of this all is, in terms of the way they're doing it, in terms of the way they're breaking the rules. But like, try to point it out that regular people are like, oh, wait a minute, like that. Oh, I didn't realize that. That's insane. Like that's, you know. So, you know, it is very much, you know, a persecution. So, you know, that's what I guess I'd say about that one. But, you know, it's just another example of all of these things.
2028. They're saying, is there a possibility?
Of me?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Well, I listen, that someone would even think it is a great compliment. But let me worry about 2024 first. Let's get that out of the way. And we'll figure out. Actually, I want to hear about crypto. That's what I did. I like it because I've become so, like, untrusting of the government,
really,
you know, like, but I also don't want I don't want a government controlled crypto either. You know what I mean? Because I think
that's so
the purpose of all that.
With you saying that, given the fact that your father was the head of the government,
yeah, but look at what they tried to do to him.
Yeah,
they impeached him twice. They tried to throw me in jail for treason. That's a crime punishable by death. I'm sitting there like I don't understand. Like, and this wasn't like low level people. This is the head of an intelligence committee doing it. You know, I had. You know, the FBI and CIA create stories that they leak to the New York Times that they then use as the basis to go after you. I mean, this is pretty fucked up shit, right? Like this is, you know, so yeah, I have almost zero faith in these institutions right now. And you know, once you've gone through what I've gone through, you probably feel the same way.
Well, wouldn't you think that in turn, well, if all this we believe has happened to my father because he's about to run again and he seems to be a favorite that he might win, maybe I should just stay the fuck out of politics, because if they did that to my pops, or they're trying to do this to my pops, they're probably
but then they win.
Yeah.
I got too much Trump, Gene. I can't do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think, though, I guess the thing I figured out with all of this stuff was, like, I don't back away from, you know, I guess I fight. You know what I mean? Like, it would have been, dude, it was so easy. But, hey, I'm staying out of politics. I'll keep building buildings in New York City, not take affronts to, I mean, you know, before my father announced, I was a top contender for the Republican nomination. Even if he was in it, I was like number 2 amongst Republicans, right? For that side of the thing, you know, where I was top 3 at all times, whether he was in it or not. If it was out of it, oftentimes I was number 1. You know, a year ago when they were polling these things before it became kind of official. So like, I'm in that fight now, and it's just, you know, I'll stay in it one way or the other. Whether I run or not, who knows? That's a different story. But like, one way or the other, I'm going to stay in the game because I think we have to, man. I got 5 young kids, so I look at what's going on. I'm like.
Yeah.
You know, I wake up some mornings like, is there a TV camera? Are they just fucking with me? You know what I mean? Like I feel like, you know, like the Truman Show, right? Like, am I the star of the Truman Show? Like, There's just a bunch of hidden cameras, and like they're punking me every day because that's how ridiculous it's gotten, right? Does that make sense?
No, it does. They want to know your thoughts on what's going on in Israel or the Israel-Palestine conflict.
Listen, wow, that one's that's crazy, right? Because it's hard. You know, do I believe that the Palestinian people have a right to exist? 100%. Do I think that someone can allow people to take drones, you know, motorized drones, fly in and murder and rape women and children at a concert, like, without retaliation? Like, no. You know, do I want to minimize all civilian casualty? Sure, but you also can't have an enemy combatant that then hides behind women and children in schools and hospitals. And then there's like an outrage cycle when, you know, they strike back and there's a casualty, right? You know, there's collateral damage. The whole thing just sucks, right? It's a mess. And I don't know that there is no simple answer, right? There's not going to be. I mean, there's so many ways you could play it out. Like, you know, if I'm Israeli, say, hey, you also say, how is it that Israel, with the Mossad and their Israeli defense, how is something like that organized that it just happens and they don't know about it? I mean, this is one of the greatest intelligence agencies in the world, right? Like, there's so many like machinations of all of this, but like, you know, I don't think it can just go unanswered. But there's not a clean answer to this. What was scary, like seeing
They're our ally, though, right?
they're 100% our ally, right? I think, you know, unlike, you know, a Ukraine, which is sort of not a NATO member, or they're, you know, between Israel and the United States, there's a lot of intelligence sharing. There's a lot of this that go on. What else is going on in the middle? You know, that's really important. You know, I know guys that have seen like the 45-minute video that they put together of like, you know, when some of the, you know, the Hamas people were going around, you know, videoing themselves, like, and when you hear about that, man, it, like, as a human, like, there's no, it's just scary, man. It's the disgusting stuff. So it's just such a complex thing. Now, you know, I don't know that you can keep just killing and bombing forever. You know, that doesn't work either, right there. But man, it doesn't seem like a problem to. Well, no, that's the other. I don't think we should be funding other people's wars indefinitely forever either, right? Like, I think, you know, Israel, a super successful country, very rich. Like, you know, we don't have to be in there doing these things, right? Like, when you look at Ukraine, right, same thing. We're going to spend another $60 billion. We're going to, well, what's the end, right? You know, when Ukraine shoots a Russian Jeep, we hear they made a huge victory. You know, when Ukraine pulls out of an entire quadrant of the country, it was a strategic withdrawal. I was like, no, dude, I think they're just getting their asses kicked. Like, they're losing. You know what I mean? But like, but that's not what we hear. And then you see the videos, like, they're grabbing 45-year-old men, like, you're going to go to the front lines to be cannon fodder. You're just a fucking target, man. We're sending you to your death. You have no weapons. You have no ammo. Your choice. And J.D. Vance is a senator. He's a friend of mine from Ohio. Like, he did a thing yesterday. It's like, Ukraine wants X number of artillery shells from the United States. The problem is we produce 1/3 of X a year. So they need X to win. We produce 1/3 of that a year. And that assumes we don't have other problems around the world, including our own defenses. And it's like, well, so where does it come from? How do we win? If that's what they need, and we produce 1/3 of it, you know, that's the problem with sending all of our jobs and our manufacturing base to China over the last year. So a couple billionaires could save 2 cents making a widget, right? The world is not a simple place. So we're like, we got to support them at all costs. It's like, well, even if we did, we have nothing for ourselves, and we still don't make enough. So are we just going to drag this thing on for 5 more years, let hundreds of thousands of more young men, at this point probably even women, die on a battlefield for a war they're going to lose? Like, what's the upside of that? I mean, maybe BlackRock will go buy all the farmland, and you know they'll control the food for the world. Like, you know, I don't know. Maybe that's the plan. It doesn't make any sense, right?
Yeah.
And the people who are making these decisions, like, you present them with these facts, and it doesn't matter. I'm like, they're so much more concerned about Ukraine than they are America. It's like, it's hard to believe. Like, so, you know, I'm with you. Like, I'm just sort of America first across the board. You know, and that includes Israel.
My man,
It's almost done, buddy.
you ever heard of Snickle?
Yeah.
The Snickle says, is Barron Trump a future president?
I don't know, man. You never know. You never know. But he's tall.
yeah. He's play basketball. Hey, what do you think about, like, you've heard of the manosphere, right? What do you think about, like, you know, there's a lot of, we talked yesterday, you know, when we were at Mar-a-Lago about, like, really the pendulum swinging. There's always an answer to every extreme thing that happened. And we see, like, red pill stuff and other things kind of pop up as almost kind of like an answer to some of the things that you were seeing, which was seemingly almost like an emasculate, like you're seeing men being emasculated in front of the world, right?
100%. 100%. I mean, the whole thing's ridiculous. You know, we're letting men play women's sports now. Like, well, we're the women. Like, by the way, speaking of men, like, you know, this is going on a daily basis. It's like, it only goes one way. Yet, you know, men aren't allowed to be masculine, and you can't have much, and you can't say, you know, it's insane. I mean, there is a clear attack on men, on masculinity, and I think that's across all cultures. I mean, but you know, you see plenty of that in the African American community as well, and like it's so flagrant at this point. So, like, I don't know, I'm sort of unapologetically masculine, and like, I think that's fine, and I think it's probably how humankind has survived over a year. I mean, and that's fine. That's not to take away from women. That's not that, but there's different they are different. We are different, and that's okay. That's neither here nor that. Doesn't mean one's better than another. You need both. But I've literally started business is sort of about that. Even in the outdoor space, some of the stuff I do, where even there, hunting and fishing, it's like, oh well, we got to do this. We got to talk about that. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what's going on here? Like, so I just sort of I don't think it's even old school, but I do think that people are sort of getting it now. This whole like the attack on male culture. And the arbitrary, like every man needs to be feminine, every woman needs to be masculine. It's like,
well, they almost made it egregious to be like, hey, listen, well men, they're part of rape culture, or there's toxic masculinity. Yeah. Like being a man just became a crime.
Yeah, well, it's toxic masculinity until until shit happens and you need some toxic masculine guys to go take care of the problem, right? Like, and that's the problem, right? It's always like that. Like, I have a buddy. Christian Craighead. He's a British guy. He was British SAS. That's like their SEAL teams, right? Yeah. And there was a hostage thing. I think it was Boko Haram in Nairobi, Kenya. And they took over a school, young school kids and whatever. And this guy was working in the area, drove by, literally threw on a mask, took an AK, and like just went in and killed all the bad guys. Safe, like all these school children. And like the British government, like, this is an example of toxic. I'm like, no, dude, that's a fucking hero. Like, what are you talking about? Like, they were like, you should not have done that. I'm like, you saved, like, these guys were, it's Boko Haram, they're killers. Like, we don't have to give them the benefit of the doubt. My father got in trouble when he called MS-13 animals. No, they're fine human beings. Like, what are you talking about? They skin people alive. Like, it's okay. Like, what are we doing? Why do we need to go so far to try to?
It's kind of odd. Like we live in a world now that before we could get anything done, we're gonna probably spend 99% of the time arguing over what pronoun to call each other.
Pronoun argument. I mean, Zimzer. Like, like, what are we, morons? Like, we're making up language.
Yeah.
Just making it up. And if you don't do that, like, I don't know, man. Like, this is the kind of stuff. Like, if this existed when I was in high school, like, so I graduated from Penn. That's where Leah Thomas, the great trans swimmer that beat all the women records and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, if that happened when we were like, we would have brought a keg of beer down to the swim meet, and we would have had the greatest time in our life. Yeah. But like, we're supposed to take it seriously. Like, this dude that's 7 feet tall, literally tied Riley Gaines into like the national championship, and because they're trans, even though they're 7 feet tall, have male body structure, male lung capacity, male muscle capacity, but like what we gotta give it Zimzer the tiebreaker. Like, like we're like, people have to be looking at us like we've lost our minds. And by the way, if you want to be trans, I don't give a shit. When you're an adult, leave my kids alone. Leave the fucking children alone. Stop going after 3-year-olds and trying to convince. Like, who's the most impressionable group in society? Like a young kid. Like, the teacher said, "Oh, it must be trans." Like, I don't know, man. Like, I told you last night. It's like when I was a kid, I thought it was an airplane. My parents didn't let me jump off a building. You go through stages in life. Like, every hardship, the answer isn't, well, you must have gender dysphoria. Like, I don't know. Maybe you're just going through a rough time. Let's figure it out. Like, you don't have to chop your dick off to like. Yeah. So we're doing these things. It's so insane. And if you call it out, oh my God, you're an oppressor, or you're this. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I just feel like we're at this point where like the reasonable people have to say enough is enough. And if you do that, you actually win. But if everyone's so afraid, like I said, I think the trans mafia is the most powerful group. I'm like, and I don't know where they came from. Like, 0.2% of the population has total control. No one's willing to cross them. No one's, and I've said it. I know it's real, and I know that other people think it's bullshit because I'm loud and I'm vocal, and like even Twitter 1.0 before Elon and all that stuff. When this stuff first started happening years ago, I'd be like, I don't know, dude. I think it's bullshit that a guy is like competing against women in sports. Like, I have girls that are great athletes. I think it's unfair. And people are like, oh man, I hate Don Jr. so much. He's like, but he's not wrong on this one. Or like, oh, I can't believe I agree with. Dude, if like Twitter 1.0, that was like 95% like radical leftists is like, okay, I'm with you on this one. Dude, that's where the world, no one's for this stuff, and yet they still have this power. Right? So I think
It's almost done, but before, I know it's been a long stint. I was trying to like win our pause because they're almost about to finish. Should I just play the rest or like?
He ain't wrong.
Yeah, just play the rest.
Right. So I think if enough people have the balls to just be like, enough. You just put an end to this shit. But I think it's just there designed to create conflict. You know?
What about TikTok? Should we ban?
This is an interesting one, right? Because I'm not for banning anything because I'm sort of a free speech absolutist. I don't love the notion of something being used as a Chinese tool. You know, Rumble isn't in China.
Yeah.
Because they won't let you give a different viewpoint, you know? TikTok, the algorithm. If you live in China and you're on TikTok, the kid that you're following isn't like the dumbest of the dumb that you have here in many cases. You know, doing
It's actually called something different, like boing them or something.
well, whatever. But the same.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Like, if you're a kid and you're the most popular guy on TikTok, because they're like, we're gonna get other kids to do science and work on math and make them think that doing that stuff that will ultimately later on be productive in life is cool. If you're an American, it's like, let's eat a Tide Pod. Like, what could go wrong? Like, you know what I mean? That guy's a hero, and all these other kids are doing it. Like, it just, I mean, it feels like it's a psyop designed to destroy society, which of course it is, you know. And like, so I have a problem with that. But I do fundamentally, and this is where it's hard sort of being American and believing what we do. You know what's going on. You know you're at a disadvantage, but you also still don't want to cave to these things that you truly believe in, right?
I mean, I believe in reciprocity. I'm like, hey, listen, if our apps can't go over there and influence their culture, fuck their apps. That's what I think. I don't think it should be bad. I think it should sell. Force it sell.
Yeah, or control America so the data is there. I think the other problem you have is like this notion like, hey, I'm 46, right? So I am super psyched that when I was in my teens and like 20s, you know, partying and having a good time and whatever, that I did not have a video camera in my pocket, and neither did my friends. Like, I wake up and every day and be like, thank God, because I did stupid shit that I would not want to have to watch today, right? Like, but guess what? Kids are going to be kids. They're going to do these things. If other people are collecting that data and watching, you know, one day that kid's going to be a congressman, or that kid's going to be a senator, or maybe that kid's a president, or a titan of industry, or whatever it is. Hey, remember when you did this? We're going to ruin your life. I don't know. You know, that could come back to haunt you later on. And so, you know, the notion that this data is just always available to someone else and can be weaponized against someone later, that's pretty scary because, you know, that's real power, that's real control. And we have to think about those things as well.
Yeah, no, 100%.
So, like, you know, again, I can still be not for banning something, but to understand that, like, I'd never let my kids on it because I understand what can happen.
All right. We got 3 more questions and we're out of here, people. Okay, Riz. People are so interested in this. Change it real quick. Chat, we're taking 3 more questions. Oh! So really, he says, do you think, and again, this is probably a little too much in depth for even me, but maybe you know the answer, hopefully. So do you think Israel is leveling Palestine to build their own Suez Canal? Not too sure.
Yeah, I don't. It just the land doesn't sort of work that way. I think I don't think they're trying to create another thing. Like, yeah, I think a lot of the leveling is because, you know, that's where the bad guys are hiding, right? I mean, I think they are doing what they can within reason to avoid the civilian casualties. I don't think they're just indiscriminately attacking civilians, but you know, sort of Hamas has created this ultimate structure, right? Their leadership is hiding in Qatar, and, you know, it's like, all right, well, we'll send a couple foot soldiers to go die, and then if a kid gets killed, and, you know, we'll use it as the next outrage cycle to generate more funding for our cause. Like, it's sort of a perfect evil, right? Where you can continue that, no matter what happens, you're winning, even if innocent people are dying. You know, that's the problem when you have sort of leadership that's not actually taking the consequence of the action, right?
They want to know your opinion on 2 people, Elon Musk and Joe Rogan.
It's interesting on both. I mean, I think, generally speaking, pretty positive on both. I think, I don't think either of them are, conservative or Republican. I think they're probably actually left leaning. But I do like sort of what they're doing relative to free speech, right? I think Rogan, has a sort of a great, following of people, and again, probably more left leaning and everything like that. But like he's like, trans women and men, whatever in women's sports, like this is bullshit. And it's like sometimes it takes a guy like that who has that pop culture sort of following to be like, hey guys, like, isn't it time to say enough? And so I think he's done, a lot for that, calling out sort of both sides, the things that are covered from the media. I think he's probably one of the most powerful voices in that. I think, Elon, with what's going on at Twitter, for the most part, I don't think it's perfect. And there's things that, I think, maybe truth. I think Rumble certainly has demonstrated as they've dealt with the attacks, in the international space. Be like, hey, if you don't censor this person, we'll throw. Okay, we'll take that loss. We'll leave the country. If you're not going to do our thing, Rumble's number one. France, you had issues obviously in Turkey. You have the stuff going on down in Brazil right now. I think, aside from sort of that pop culture side, I think Elon's probably one of the great minds of our, the Einstein of this era. Guys privately sending things into space and like creating satellite networks. He's just doing stuff that,
so profound, right?
It's next level. This is the stuff that sort of advances civilization. So, I got nothing but respect for that. I don't know necessarily, fully where he stands on that, but I think, if what he's saying is accurate and what he's doing for the most part, I don't think it's perfect, but I think, for mankind as a whole, it's really important.
What about the artist formerly known as Kanye West, aka Ye?
Listen, I don't actually know him. I've never. I think I've spoken like FaceTime a couple times through other friends that knew him, whether it was Candace or Charlie Kirk, some of those guys, years ago. Clearly a genius. Clearly also like manic in his own way. So I'm trying to figure it out. I can't tell if some of this.
He at one point wanted to run for presidency.
Oh yeah, I know. People, the Trump West ticket. Could that happen? Hey, you never say never.
We need a
I saw some, you for VP.
That could happen, but I'll be on the Don Jr. ticket in 2028. Let's get Ye on this one.
Really big heads explode.
Yeah, let's get Ye on this one. Obviously he's also been deplatforming, and he's came under a lot of fire for some of his words and things like this, and they've called him anti-Semitic. Do you think? And I don't know how closely. Again, you haven't really met him.
Like I said, I don't know him that way. Listen. You see some of the stuff you say, and I'm like, it's a little, it's a little much, and but then sometimes you just sort of be like, well, he's an artist in the moment, and there's this. So I don't know him well enough, and I don't honestly follow it enough to be like, okay, this is where his heart really is, and he's saying the quiet part out loud, and maybe he actually believes.
He's heavily against abortion. When he went on his pre-camp, he's not with it.
Yeah, listen, I appreciate probably what he did in terms of finding Jesus and some things, and I think maybe some of that conflicts with some of the other things he said.
He's having a hard time figuring out where he really stands. Well, but he definitely, from the African American community, he took a great leap when he sat with your father in the Oval Office.
I think that took balls, and you appreciate that. And then, but I think he also showed up to Mar-a-Lago and brought Nick Fuentes, who my father would have no idea who that is, but it's this alt-right kind of. Yeah. And you don't need to do that either, right?
Yeah,
it's true. Then it's it's like I said earlier, I have no idea who that is. And it's like, oh, so that feels a little bit like an ambush, and that's not right either. You know what I mean? So it's hard. As an artist, you appreciate what he is, and perhaps what he could have been. Maybe he could have gone down as one of the biggest ever, right?
He's one of the biggest ever. I think
that
business
may be harder now. The business side is going to be harder.
Yeah,
I think he'll do great. Almost irrespective. I think he'll always have a following, but it's hard to get to maybe the highest level without sort of the aid of the corporate world globally. And I think at this point they're looking at the calculus and saying, we can make a lot of money, but there's also a lot of risk that comes with it. And, and that's hard. I deal with that myself. Being a Trump.
Do you see anyone out there, like, I think when Trump goes from The Apprentice to being a presidential candidate, I think people are like, this won't happen. Well, obviously that's for the highest, office in the land. But there has been, Arnold Schwarzenegger, like he became governor. And did you ever foresee anyone that could ever do what your father done, coming straight from a non-political background, straight from either business or a TV career and doing that?
I think yes. But I think a big part of the attack on my father is also by design to take those people who weren't part of the machine, who weren't part of the bureaucracy, and be like,
You sure you want to do
you sure you want to do this?
Okay.
We don't want a disruptor. We like the control that we have. We like the power we have. We'll tell you everything's all well and good. We'll make a lot of money in the process. We don't want someone who's going to come in and blow that shit up. And I think, not all, but, a big component of what they're trying to do to my father is about sending that message to, Elon's not born here, so he couldn't run for president. But, if you had another Elon, be like, hey, man, you got billions of dollars. Is it worth your while? You want to risk going to jail for 700 years because you really believe this, or you're better off just buying into what we say, donate some money to the Democrats and call it a day and live a nice, easy existence. I think that a lot of this is very much by design to make sure that no one comes in from the outside, or you don't get perhaps the best of the best coming in from the outside.
Yeah. We got one more question. The last question, and by the way, this has been an amazing broadcast. We've been going strong for over 2 hours. Unbeknownst to anyone, we've had 15,000 people on YouTube just consistently. We had 20,000 point up on Rumble. So cumulatively, we were definitely pushing over like 35, close to 40,000. Last question. Somebody make it good. I'm seeing some of the same questions here. By the way, listen, it's the first time I've met him, first conversation we've had. Like, by the way, I would love to have another conversation with you.
Still, man. I'm game.
The world
needs more actual conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to go back and people will be like, he just sat there and let him spin him. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, listen, you're going to take undue amount of shit. I'm probably going to get written up as like a terrible human being for something I said. I think I've been reasonably well behaved, but someone will always have a problem with it. And guess what? That's okay. I think maybe that's what I've learned. You just got to, if you're pleasing everyone, you're not doing anything. You know what I mean? You're not at all edgy. You're not at all this. You're not coming up with anything novel. Like, there's no way to make everyone happy in this world right now. And that's okay. You don't have to.
I agree. I guess it's two questions, but I'll ask as one.
Chris is trying to tell me something.
I know. We just want your thoughts on aliens, or the truth on aliens, okay? And also thoughts on reparations. You can address either one first.
Well, aliens, like, honestly, it feels like this was like when my dad was still president. I had him on, like, my podcast quickly just to be like, hey, what do you think? He sort of just, I was like, it was the only question I actually wanted. Like, I don't care who shot Kennedy. I'm like, aliens. Like, what's going on? It kind of blew me off. And I'm like, wait. But now, like, that's how fucked up the world is right now, right? Like, they're like, here's video of UFOs, and no one cares because the world is actually more chaotic. That as we're literally seeing, like, actual real-world evidence of these things, and they're basically, like, the Pentagon's basically admitting that it's real, and like, no one cares because it's like, like,
has your dad seen an alien like area?
Yeah, I don't think so. At least he has not told me. If it was classified, he didn't tell me. But there wasn't even like a weird.
Son, I seen him. He had 15 eyes.
Yeah, I'll bring it back up. You know what I mean? If I see him somewhere between one of these court cases, I'll bring it back up, and I'll let you know if there's more of a hint. But like, it feels like they're actually releasing real evidence of this stuff, and like everyone's like, just Tuesday.
I'm always only skeptical because aliens seem to consistently pop up in Vegas. Like, well, what's up with that? Like, are they gambling or what? Are they rigging the odds? Like, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? Nevada, they're seeing the most amount of aliens. I knew the one alien store was bullshit in Miami. I'm like, the aliens are not going to South Beach, okay? The aliens go to
Well, I think you also find in the random areas that you don't have all the light pollution, so you're able to see these phenomenon in space that you just don't get. Like in New York City, you don't see the stars ever because everything else is so bright. Like just the shit in the air catches it. So it's always these. Once you get outside of Vegas, it's nothing for hours. You know what I mean? Like you can find these places. So that sort of makes sense just from a visual perspective. But like, listen, I am not. I believe like 100% there has to be something. Like you can't have like we're the one like unique phenomenon in something that's infinitely large, the size of the universe. Like I'm like that can't be. I don't know if that's a sentient being or an amoeba. There's probably a lot of all of it, but there's got to be something.
I remember watching Independence Day, and I always remember like Will Smith like brain dragging that alien back, and I'm like, there has to be like an alien carcass somewhere, like in a lab that we're studying how they deliver.
They all look the same in the movies, right? Like, why is that the choice? Why doesn't it look totally different? And they all kind of always look the same.
The person who really saw the alien, he gave the structure.
The design.
Reparations. That's a conversation that's been ongoing. I feel like it comes up here and there, and people always wait for some type of, hey, listen, if people are getting either paychecks or what's supposedly due to them, what about African Americans and reparations?
Yeah, listen, I'm not generally. I think it's you see this stuff going on in California, and it's like, well, if we took 10x the California budget, this is. I'm like, what? Like, I look at, me. Do I pay into this? Like, my grandparents came here in 1906. We were never.
I think the idea is that African Americans built the country, so anybody who even are even a byproduct or a recipient of anything good should pay into the people who are the ancestors that helped build the foundation, and those direct descendants of those ancestors somehow, which obviously wouldn't be me.
I get the concept. I'm sort of. I'm not long these concepts because I think they're too complicated. I think they get taken too advantage of. I think when you see some of the numbers that are being thrown around, it's like mind blowing.
Like Bernie had said, he had mentioned that too. Like it was like
California, they're like, it's like $30 trillion and we can be fine. I'm like, wait a minute, like what are you talking? Like let's see. So I don't know. I think it's one of these things. Obviously, discussing a terrible time in our country. I don't know how you do that reasonably, logically, equitably.
If there was a way, say some little genius came up with a way, hey, listen, we're not giving no more money to Ukraine. They're cut off. We're not giving this. And then this excess money, we're going to give some to schools, some this, and let's give this about.
Well, that's different.
Let's market it some bill. Like, isn't that what they do?
But I think you're starting to do that, with schools, or again, funding historically black universities. You're not necessarily funding historically white universities, right? There is some difference. There is play there. I think you've seen, certainly this will get you in trouble or me in trouble, but you see some of that with affirmative action or something like right there. There has been stuff in there. No, people are going to say that's not enough, and people are going to say it's terrible that you say that. But I think as a country we're trying to get through that. I think as someone who's been out there a lot, all over the place, like I don't and have not seen sort of the rampant racism. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, right? But it does not seem like it's when it's made up.
Covering
racism in cultures across you see, I see a lot of gay guys hate the trans people, and then I kind of want to get to a point where everyone stops hating each other.
Yeah.
And taking from one to give to another now, and understanding again the history. Like I don't know that solves any of these problems going forward.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a multi-pronged and multivariate.
Yeah. And that's again, I'm trying to be as honest as I can with that. Also, man, it's not easy.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty decent answer. All right, chat. I think we have covered everything as much as we can. I appreciate all you guys. This has been an amazing stream. First and foremost, I just want to thank Don Jr. for being such a gratuitous host.
Glad you could do it.
Gave us a tour yesterday. You made all available time for us as much as we needed. Made sure I had everything I needed. You've been more than gracious to me, so I just want to thank you.
My pleasure.
And thank you for sitting with me. Thank you for being as honest as you can. There was no script. I'll be very honest, and for anyone who might ask, because I know there's going to be questions, I did not submit the talking points that I wanted to ask from. I wrote in bed this morning in my notepad.
And by the way,
on my phone.
Did I say that there was anything off limits?
No. There was no prompts.
No problems.
There was no, don't talk about this. Hey, make sure you ask. None of that. It was honestly just a conversation, and shoot, I got every question I had to ask off here, and I'm glad I got to answer or ask the questions you guys wanted to ask. I do know you have a Rumble show, and I want to give you the platform and the chance to promote that. There's a part.
Alright guys, so we talked about so much that last step was like really long. I talked about Trump to Diddy, their legal situations getting raided, I guess more so the raids, the houses. He asked him about Rick Ross versus Drake. He asked him about some other stuff with I think NBA Youngboy. Some of those cases, those rap cases, and asked disrespectful on some of that stuff. What else did he talk about? Masculinity and LGBTQ, trans, the agenda. Obviously, towards the end, he asked about aliens and reparations. But in its totality, any thoughts? And what are you thinking?
All communication is hypnosis. Vote Donald Trump and liberate America from these Democrat, treacherous, lying, hypocrite parasites. Free America today. Vote Donald Trump.
Anyone else?
I'm not voting still. I'm not voting for a president, but I will vote for my local executives and stuff like that. But I'm not voting for a president this year.
I think that's all bullshit.
Hey, Anuki, you're a real one.
I think it's all bullshit. I think, and I thought how he tapped around about the reparations as if he fucking struggled or something. Like, are you fucking serious? Like, I just can't believe that he would even say that. Like, well, I don't know. And what? See, they want us to pick from the two sides, and neither side has our fucking best interest. So really, what the fuck are we taking sides for?
Imagine you need a cup of water. Imagine you need a cup of water, and they got you picking between Pepsi and Cola. That's crazy.
It's a big fucking game, and I'm not for it, and I'm gonna fucking be a rebel. So let's go, bitches.
You may not like Don Trump Jr., but he's a legit guy. That was an authentic, sincere, from the heart, off-the-cuff conversation.
He doing shit for me, his rich ass. Nobody, people are really struggling. Like, what the fuck? Like, and I want to walk them through.
So what you want him to do for you? Like,
No, I don't want him to do anything. I just want. I'm not voting for him. That's all I'm saying.
The point is, if you want the average.
They want us to fight each other. That's why they're trying to start this civil war where we fight each other. And I'm not for
Listen, the only people who keep saying there's a civil war is black women and black people keep claiming there's going to be a civil war. There's not going to be a civil war. You guys are just projecting and having fun.
Ben, your mic is really loud. Maybe you're yelling a bit as well, projecting your voice. I don't think you need to because we can hear you just fine. Maybe also back away from the mic, but it's really loud.
Well, for sure, when he came to his answer about, technically, I guess the bottom line, the real question is like, do you agree that melanin people who build this country should get, recognized, either as financially, but recognized on a way, in a program that feels fair, at least in this financial system. And it seemed like he couldn't answer that. He was like, not for it.
Yeah. He's a Republican. He believes in something called
question mark. Hold on, though. I thought that was a big question mark. But go ahead.
No, I agree with you. He doesn't want to give even an inch, and there's a reason. It's called the slippery slope theory. Basically, it's the idea that if you give, if you start giving help or an advantage to one group because of the past, it's a slippery slope, and there's basically no end to it. So they want to.
Well, they didn't have no slippery slope for the others. They didn't have no slippery slope theory for everybody else.
This country is built on a bad
100%. I'm with you. I'm on your team.
No, man. Hold on. You gotta trace back to the history of these people being criminals, having the nerve to tell somebody else what they can and can't do. When you came here and slaughtered people supposedly and destroyed communities,
the history hypnosis lesson is fancy, but you're dealing with an election.
You asking them for help. That's crazy. No.
Then you had people build it for you, and then those same people that built it for you have the worst schools, have the worst jobs, and not all bad jobs. I don't want to offend nobody here, but it's not the la creme de la creme, right? Let's be honest.
You're talking about a presidential election, and what you're suggesting is irrelevant to the real conversation, which is who is the better option for the country for the office of the presidency.
No, it's not irrelevant. No, it's not irrelevant. That's not irrelevant because, for one, there is a huge wealth gap that needs to be acknowledged, and you cannot escape that if you're going to take on the responsibility of being the president of this country. Knowing the history of that, you should acknowledge that and do something about it, because you cannot say that when you have historical evidence that they have addressed people who were deprived and were discriminated against, marginalized, and etc. They had done this before, and even after that, when you had them attacking establishments after slavery, those were uncalled for. So there's no way you're just going to tell people to overlook it.
Can I say something, brother? Can I just say, for real, let's be honest. They never gave a freak about, this was their war. I tried to tell y'all this before. This was the the Republicans and the Democrats. This was their war. Right? They used people, just like they use people now, and to fight in the military, to fight their battle. It was never ours. It was always them fighting over this land. The two sides of the same bird. They both work together on a lot of shit, but they still use people to get their shit done, right? And so it's two sides. It's the lesser of the two evils. It's both the same fucking bird, the same body, but they don't have the interest of the brown people or people that's melanated. But they've been using us and pretending that we're going to give y'all this and we're going to do this for y'all, and y'all look, it's still the same fucking shit. They let only the ones that they fund, them black colleges, those are their proteges that go do the work, the house niggas, for them. White field niggas struggle.
I hate to tell you this, but that is still just your opinion.
Bro, stop cutting her off, bro.
It's still slavery. It's not just physical, it's mental. It's still poverty. There's no way that these people have built this country. Y'all came over here, y'all did all this horrible stuff. Y'all used people, and then y'all got the nerve to tell somebody to pick a side when neither side is really benefiting the majority. And are we dumb? Like, do y'all think we're dumb? Like, how dumb do you think
I know, but if you suggest reparations just for black people and not everyone, why not do $1,000 a month liberty check for every single American with a social security number for the next 10 years?
Because it doesn't work like that. It don't work like that. It don't work like that.
Oh, it don't work like that, but it do. It don't work like that, but it do.
Every single American hasn't gone through the same thing. That's undoubtedly, we understand that. Every single community of American hasn't gone through the same thing. That's undoubtedly, we understand that. And so, again, within the aspect of and I actually applaud academics throughout the entirety of this interview. For being somebody who talks about hip hop and culture, he really brought the questioning and the response down to a political level. Even when he talked about reparations, he said, some genius is going to come up with the idea that we stop sending money to Ukraine. It doesn't take a fucking genius to see what that's doing and how much that inflation of money could go such a far way here at home. Whether that's reparations.
It's the NDAA. It's $1 trillion a year. The National Defense Authorization Act. Look it up.
Are you okay? I know that this conversation may be a little passionate, a little poignant to some, but are you okay?
Yes, it's called the National Defense Authorization Act, NDAA.
Don't have hands-on experience with poverty and despair looks like.
I want to make sure bus drivers finish and also.
It's all right. They got it. It's good.
Smurf.
Yeah, two white people get to dominate the stage.
But he also.
No, he hasn't even spoken yet. I think you're confused. I'm talking about King Smurf.
Yeah. No, I was just going to ask, why is Donald Trump so bad? He's not even a real Republican or a Democrat. He ran as a Republican as some kind of joke, and it worked. So being that the politicians on both sides don't fuck with him, why wouldn't he be the best choice? Because I see him playing the system. I know you guys feel like
is two sides of the same coin. But I really don't feel like he's playing any side of any coin. I think he's just trying to manipulate the system to work it to his best benefit for the people. I don't know. I could be wrong, but that's how I feel.
It's
And my
a
question.
fucking game.
Okay.
Sorry.
No. Just my question is, King Smurf. In what ways do you think Donald Trump is trying to benefit the people? Like, what did he do during his last term that you thought was beneficial, that you're still benefiting from it now? And what do you think he'll do if he wins this election? I'm curious.
I just really believe him going against the grain, him going against the norm is something new that we got to give a chance, because the usual way things were working hasn't really been working for any of us, actually. You know what I mean? So Donald Trump coming from a business mindset, trying to do what he did from a business mindset, putting America first, putting the people of America first, whether you're black or white, however you want to look at it. I think that was the best thing for the country. Like, you know, but both sides were against him, Republicans and Democrats. You know what I mean? But he still tried to make his own side in the bag that people was mad at. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but I don't think he really got a chance to implement everything he wanted, because he was met with all types of roadblocks. But his message was clear: America first.
You know, I think it's some type of shadow government using people as pawns to really do this bullshit. I mean, I'm just.
It's called the Democrats.
I see what's going on. It's a bunch of credit. We're really divided. Don't talk about either or. Y'all need to realize that it's a big game. Stop falling into the trap. Seriously. Like,
All communication is hypnosis. Listen, all communication is hypnosis. Stop thinking and end your problems.
You keep saying the same thing, bro. Don't nobody want to keep hearing you.
Please come home. I got beans and bologna.
And I get into like, hey, two birds with the same wing, two wings with the same
Clever.
or whatever, all that. Like, okay, I get.
Yeah, I don't follow any. Oh, Zeb.
Rabbi Shalom, Rabbi McDickerson, all hail the one true prophet, the Alpha Omega, the supernova Casanova of the Clown House Show. Hello? Abby, how's your migraine? Rabbi Shalom, everyone.
Did they ping you in? Did you come here on your own?
Yeah,
It's called the news feed, or like the hallway. Maybe you guys have been using this app like a couple years, like a bunch of neurotics like me. Don't ask stupid questions. You'll get stupid fucking responses.
I was literally just telling them to ping you in.
Yeah, were you? Literally was saying that in public. Yeah. Happy coincidence,
Chicago.
Sorry, I'm dealing with a lot of stress at the moment.
Okay, can you have one account where you don't trip the hallways so that I can add you there?
I can't guarantee anything on this app.
Yeah, I can't follow you because I add you, I look at the hallway, it's totally...
Listen, you have block lists. I have no confidence in you, Mr. Alpha Omega whatsoever. I assure you that... I can assure you that your concerns over your hallway with regards to my activities here are the least of my concerns. Personally, let me just emphasize that again. I could care less about your hallway experience. Suck it.
No, but that's the problem here. That's why I can't add you. Sometimes I need you, though. I would like to ping you in. Like that situation.
See, he's saying he wants you whenever he needs you. He doesn't want your face when he doesn't need you, Zeb. Do you get it?
No, I would like him to see the room when I create it.
I see.
You sound like my last Muslim girlfriend. You're basically a hinge Bumble girl, Alpha Omega.
Why do you call me Alpha Omega? I'm Alpha Ball.
Wait, let me look at your profile.
Referring to the Alpha Omega.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tyrone Jalal Aldin. Alpha Bull, my bad. Alpha Bull Rabbi McDickings. God, you got so much creativity in this profile. It's amazing. Listen, I heard Adams talk about how he lost his other profile today, and it was like, you could tell the psychological heartbreak from losing his Clown House account. It really was special to listen to hear his sadness. It was awesome.
He's talking about how he lost his account or whatever, but he hasn't explained what happened.
Okay, yes, he did.
But he's super excited because he knows he's getting it back in 5 days. So he's super excited about that.
So how come I always get permanent bans, but every other motherfucker?
Abby, I heard a black person on this app today actually say, "Think about that."
Oh, that's nice.
That's amazing.
I got asked the other night by a black fella if I was a white girl.
I couldn't believe it. Think about that is not original. It's kind of like, hello? I thought that was original until I heard a black girl at work say, hello?
Because the day that you said think about that was like you went around Clubhouse and he probably got that from you.
I got that from you. We did a whole room called Think About That where we said think about that for 50 minutes straight, and for some reason it was the funniest thing ever. Think about that.
Yeah, but you were the one that spread the word, not me.
Yeah, but you're the source of Think About That, just like how Jazzy is the source of hello. And I have been
the source of hello.
No, for me she is, but I realized just like Think About That, it's universal. So think about that. That's what I'm saying.
No, it's not.
Well, think about that.
It's Dutch accent.
Shut the fuck up.
See, I mean, Abby, the fact that you get
I have so much more to do.
The fact that you get migraines, Abby, indicates that, you've got, health problems. I hate to tell you that, but you do have health problems if you actually have migraines. Oh, shoulder pain, elbow pain, any kind of pain, all this inflammation stuff, and
I don't really have migraines.
Oh, I see. Okay, think about that.
I just have migraines because of you.
You know what's good for shoulder pain?
What?
You lick my butthole.
Think about that. Think about that.
Lick my balls.
I wonder if the Mark Zuckerberg, Priscilla Chan Innovation Center Hub here in Chicago will look into butthole licking and LGBTQ science in order to determine how to reduce inflammation in precancerous cells in the tissues. So let's think about that. Because
let's think about that.
That is actually good for the hemorrhoids.
Let's talk about that.
Think about that. I did have a hemorrhoid recently, and it actually cleared up, and I am super happy about that because I was kind of scared for a minute. It did.
They can clear up.
This thing was like a fucking rod at the tip of my butthole, and I was like really scared. I was like, no, that's my point. Is I was super scared, but it went away, and I was like, praise Lord. Hashem Ribono Shalolim heals all flesh and cures all fucking lesions on one's butthole, aka fucking what are they called again? Hemorrhoids, yeah. Hashem heals hemorrhoids, Ribono Shalolim. If you've never thought about becoming a Zionist or converting to Judaism, and you do have hemorrhoid problems, think about it. And I don't mean just think about it. I mean think about that.
No, that's right. Well, no, I'd rather not.
No, think about my hemorrhoids and how Hashem, Ribono Shalolim, healed my hemorrhoids. And I throw it all up to Hashem because every time I massage that hemorrhoid, I said, Hashem, Ribono Shalolim, please heal my hemorrhoid. So just think about that. That's all I'm sorry. Thanks for being such good friends to a non-green beaner. I mean, and, Ribono Shalolim, Alpha Bull, I hope things go great with your new profile and your new FetLife trolling escapades. Ribono Shalolim. Just remember my hemorrhoid. Remember my hemorrhoid, Ribono Shalolim.
I think it'll be impossible to forget at this point.
I stepped away from FetLife for the past 3 days.
Oh, God.
You can just go there. And you know what? I need to recreate my profile.
So I got some bad news today.
We don't care.
I do.
We only care about good news.
I agree. I agree. Well, I guess let me take care of it, then I'll tell you the good news, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
That's fine.
Ribono Shalolim. This is why I look to AlphaBull for all my AI advice. See, that's the thing about ChatGPT. I don't believe that these AI chat bots are ever going to be of any use when you can come to Clown House and have access to 10 well coordinated brains. They just can't match the quantum computing power of our brains. I really do believe that. It's almost impossible. And it's so simple to just have 10 people chat and create more intelligence than ChatGPT or any AI software can. So it's all hypnosis and it's all a scam. And Mark Zuckerberg is probably an alien. Ribono Shalala.
You know, it's really funny, Edmund, or John, however you want to go by. Whenever you put the captions on, I'm often, my English is apparently very, very poorly translated by the AI. So,
yeah, I mean, as an American speaker, when I first heard your voice, I thought, you know, just like, oh my God, like I just couldn't stand you. So it is like not just because like I you know had some kind of personal animosity, because obviously I don't know you, but my point is there was like something about the way you spoke, which was it's because like you have to be very patient and listen closely to you is what my point is. I can understand you, but when initially you come across as being like, you know, because you require more brain power, and most people don't want to give up brain power to try to understand your English, you know, from like an American speaker's perspective. But think about international people that hear you. The non-English native speakers can probably barely understand you, or maybe they can understand you better. I really don't know.
It actually depends on what part what part of the world they're from. Sweden, people from like Sweden or Scandinavia in particular have the hardest time. I've noticed most Europeans can't understand. Most people from India and stuff can understand. But I don't know. I mean, I get it. Australian English is not very probably. I don't think you guys are exposed to it very much.
Well, that's right.
And that's okay.
Supposed to be these nuts.
So, Christy, I mean, as a married woman, you don't have children, right?
No, I don't.
So, like,
Well, shit.
my point is, like, I come on here because I film and I create content because I think that maybe some way in the future, like, people will look back at what I did and be like, oh man, that was genius. But why do you come here?
Like reading like the Daily Mail or something, just something to just silly.
Cubs, motherfucker.
Looking for what?
Cubs.
Cubs. What a cub?
So the cub looks for a cougar. The cougar looks for a cub.
I can see.
What's a cougar? A cougar?
No, I don't know.
Here we go with the adult fat life routine.
Really eyes me, really. No, I'll be 30 at the end of the year.
You'll be 30 at the end of the year?
I've got my birthday.
I thought you were older. I thought you were like late 30s.
No.
That's amazing.
It's all good.
But you have health problems, right, Christy?
I do.
That's older pain.
No, don't you have like a genetic immune deficiency disorder or something?
Yeah, I'm a curious hemophilia type B, and I also have a blood disorder. But I mean, this.
So wait, you're vaccinated though, right? And you're boosted?
No, I'm not boosted. I did get a placebo dose of Moderna.
Oh, got it. Never mind, I forgot. All right. Anyways, yeah. I mean, you kind of passed the smell test of not being like, a danger. I mean, I guess my whole point, in a Muslim paradise is to like fill it up with people like you, Raboino Shaloilim, and people like Abby, people like Alpha, and maybe people like Brock, and certainly not myself though. Raboino Shaloilim, Monsignor.
Raboino Shaloilim.
welcome to the Muslim paradise, where we will be essentially trolling ceasefire, genocide, Muslims, I'm sure, for as long as we can, until Abby gets a massive migraine and says, get out of my country, let's free Palestine. I hate these Jews. And then she has another migraine and says, no, why did I say that? Somewhere deep down, I still hate Jews.